A root cause for migraines and a simple solution. Migraines are one of the most commonly debilitating conditions in the world, affecting 20% of the population. Those who have suffered at least one, with any combination of the hallmark migraine symptoms ranging from pain to sensitivity to light and or sound, to nausea, to vomiting, to visual disturbances, to numbness or tingling, to clumsiness, to having difficulty communicating, etc., can vouch for how it takes over your world from when it hits to when it goes away. In a single word, migraines are awful. They are also one of the most aggravating conditions to treat through traditional medical options, as drugs used to combat symptoms are potentially dangerous and can cause a whole host of side effects, including increasing the likelihood of more consistent migraine episodes. As with most complicated matters, part of the frustration over the prevalence of migraines is a lack of understanding as to what causes them. While many triggers have been discovered, caffeine, cigarette smoke, excessive light or sound, fatigue, certain foods, head trauma, hormonal changes, hunger, poor sleeping posture, stress, and weather changes among them. The causes largely remain a mystery, and without knowing the causes, treatment programs are predominantly designed either around stopping migraine symptoms after they have already been triggered or prophylactically taking medications. Years ago, Dr. Seymour Diamond, executive director of the National Headache Foundation, identified what he believed to be perhaps the root cause of migraines, a malfunction in the nervous system's hub, the brainstem. Using advanced imaging, he mapped neurologic activity throughout the brain and the brainstem before, during, and after migraine attacks. Before a trigger was introduced, the brainstem was overactive. Once the trigger was introduced, there were spikes across the board, consistent in the brainstem as before, and also in various parts of the brain. Imitrex was then introduced via injection, and although the turmoil reduced throughout the brain as migraine symptoms decreased, the brainstem remained overactive. After subsequent follow-up studies, Dr. Diamond concluded that the drugs used to suppress migraine symptoms were not affecting the brainstem, and that the brainstem remaining overactive was the reason that symptoms were so prone to return even after drug therapy. The research begged the question, if the brainstem malfunctioning causes migraines, what causes the brainstem to malfunction? And then, what, if anything, can be done to correct it? Given that the brainstem is located where the head converges with the neck, a misalignment in the upper cervical spine quite commonly affects the brainstem's function. The brainstem is the control center of the body responsible for the regulation of pain perception, breathing, heart rate, balance, blood pressure, digestion, and the expanding and contracting of blood vessels. When it malfunctions, it provokes a state of crisis throughout the body and prompts the blood vessels surrounding the brain to swell, laying the foundation for one of the aforementioned triggers to set off a migraine. Upper cervical spinal misalignments have been shown through a variety of clinical trials to be underlying causes of several vascular conditions, migraines, hypertension, and multiple sclerosis among them. The primary reason why these misalignments occur is physical traumas, particularly those associated with the head and or neck. Traumas occur throughout our lives, from the birthing process to the thousands of falls we incur during youth, to sports injuries, to bike wrecks, to major falls, to car accidents. When the upper neck vertebrae consequently misalign, the brainstem's ability to normally regulate internal functions is impaired, and the vertebral arteries which run through tiny openings on either side of the vertebrae can be compressed, decreasing the blood and oxygen supply to the brain and preventing the veins that drain fluid in the brain from working the way they are supposed to. Fortunately, these misalignments can be precisely identified and safely corrected by an upper cervical practitioner who uses specific diagnostic imaging to discover the complexities of the problem and who expertly sets the vertebra back into their proper positions, removing the irritation to the brainstem and restoring proper blood flow to and from the brain in order to decrease and eliminate the principal cause of migraines. Kimberly Bostic, a Triad resident, stated the following about her experience with upper cervical care. Since I began my treatment in 2011, I have suffered approximately 4 or 5 migraines. I had a migraine at least monthly, if not more frequently, for almost 30 years. In my mid-20s, I became aware that I could predict most precipitation-related weather events rather accurately because of my migraines. The first time that it rained after the correction that put things right, I was thoroughly shocked to watch the news and see the radar indicated it was raining outside. Jan T. recalled about her history with the life-altering condition. 34 years ago and pregnant with my first child, I experienced what I now know to be a migraine. I saw medical doctors, neurologists, and chiropractors. I have had x-rays, MRIs, and a list of neurological tests, all of which showed nothing of concern. I tried numerous medications and injections, as needed and preventative, but continued to experience migraines. Learning about how misaligned upper cervical vertebrae can affect the entire body system made complete sense to me. She said of her work with an upper cervical practitioner that the headaches have become much less frequent and intense, and that she highly recommends upper cervical care. When Gwen Brown first visited an upper cervical practitioner, she had become increasingly miserable and frustratingly unsure as to the reason why. My diagnosis was very unclear, but ER doctors and a neurologist were calling it anywhere from a weird migraine to the possibility of MS, she said. After one upper cervical correction, my focus began to improve and my chronic migraines went away, along with the stress of anticipating surgery or lifelong drugs to manage my condition. This completely changed my life. Finding the cause is the key. If you or someone you know has been plagued by migraines, encourage them to see an upper cervical practitioner who will not only pinpoint the cause, but correct it as well. Upper cervical care is restoring the health and function of thousands of people who were sick and tired of being sick and tired, suffering from conditions like migraines.